Long gone are the days when I expect to spend a lifetime at the same company. And those days took with them also even just being stagnant within the same organization.
Hello there. This is John Bernatovich, your host of the HR Like a Boss podcast. Thank you for listening. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share with a friend. I've embarked on a journey to get to know amazingly awesome HR and business professionals, and I'm trying to understand what it takes to do HR like a boss. On today's show, I'm so excited to have Kris McGuigan. Kris is a friend that I made through Disrupt HR. She did an amazing job presenting a number of years ago, and I think she's going back this year to Disrupt in Cleveland. So Kris, welcome to the HR Like a Boss podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, John.
So tell our crowd and those listening what you're up to these days and how they can get in touch with you.
Sure. So my company, Professional Courage, is serving both individual and corporate clients. Essentially, we're looking to build a workforce that's motivated to compete and climb. So we help individuals who are looking to make a transition, whether that's a promotion inside of their current department or they're looking to do something completely different. We support them with career collateral, marketing materials, and overall strategy. And then we work with corporate partners on how to minimize the flight risk of their high potentials and really create that exponential impact on their bottom line by not losing talent out the door and keeping some of those best people in-house. So I work mostly on strategy for the business and helping to develop the team so that I can eventually step out of the business and still have it running and serving the community. And I think that you mentioned something that we have in common in terms of aspirations is I am getting ready to release my first book this year. So that's been taking up quite a bit of my time.
Tell me how you would describe the purpose of the function of human resources.
Sure. I mean, I think it's about, coordinating an organization's workforce and making sure that you're really leveraging the talents of the work pool of the employees that you have in front of you. And I think that means having to understand and get to know the talents of those employees and create an environment at the same time that they're going to be willing and interested in not only utilizing those talents, but continuing to grow in different ways and develop more talent so that you can continue that cycle within the organization.
Well, I know you talked about the importance of career development to engage and retain your top talent. And just curious, if in your work with the managers and directors you mentioned before in your organization, what's the best way for those directors, those executive level folks to have career conversations with their staff? I know sometimes that can be awkward at times. If and when it gets brought up, maybe at times when, hey, I'm leaving this company, and all of a sudden, like, hey, wait a second, let's have a career conversation.
Right.
How
That
do they
would
do
be a
that
long
more
time.
effectively? Yeah. How do they do that more effectively?
Absolutely. So I would say props to any and all managers who are having active career conversations with their staff, because while it's important, I don't think it's always intuitive, right? So I'm glad that people are starting to recognize this need to create some level of fulfillment for their employees beyond just kind of the taking aspect. And one of the most important keys to really engaging in those discussions, I think, is recognizing that there is a difference between managing and coaching. And there's the right time and place for both of them, right? But a management approach is really based on having a performance orientation, whereas coaching is predicated on more of a learning orientation. So really managers can come into the discussion with genuine curiosity as to how they can empower or remove barriers or guide this employee, this team member along the path. And that's going to go a long way toward more sustainable success than simply, oh, let's talk once a year at the end of your performance evaluation about what job you're hoping to retain next, and I'll see if I can make an introduction.
Yeah, that's interesting. I remember back in the day when I was in corporate America, I'll never forget, I was not presented with a promotional opportunity until I told the company I was going to leave to take another position. All of a sudden, out of the blue, hey, there's this job that we have in this different division that we think would be great for you. Wait a second. As a matter of fact, I did take that job because it was better than the one that I had offered to leave. But I thought it was so curious that my manager at the time, maybe he will be listening. He'll remember those moments. That was a very awkward situation for me. And I remember vividly, like, how do I process this information right now?
Yeah, and sometimes even along the way, if it's not some massive career conversation or someone who's asking for, again, a promotion or a new project, it's sometimes just that curiosity of asking more of, we say like ask more of a what question instead of a why. So not why did you do it that way, but like, what would you do differently if you were presented with this project again? Even some of those debrief questions after, a particular project or initiative has happened, that's more of a coaching curiosity to help that person grow and feel like you're invested in them continuing to get better than just simply like, tell me the why, give me all the outcomes, and let's move on.
So from a large corporate to small business, I'm just curious what leaders can do to hold on to their high potential employees in today's environment. What suggestions do you have for them, Kris?
Sure. And while I agree that comp is important, I think you even mentioned earlier, John, that look, people leave because of their leader. Ultimately, if I am that loyal and committed to my manager and I believe that they are supporting me into my future career development and my overall growth, I'm more likely to stay, even if the money is not quite where I want it to be. So, I think that overall, it's not a secret that the last few generations that have entered the workforce are looking for that career growth. They're looking for development. Long gone are the days when I expect to spend a lifetime at the same company. And those days took with them also even just being stagnant within the same organization. And so leaders, I think, that support intentional career pathing, that are helping people learn and leverage their strengths, their interests, their values, and sort of navigate the internal network within the organization to make sure that they have exposure and an idea of what that ongoing career path is going to look like. I think that is really how they can position themselves for success and certainly help to retain some of that talent who is maybe thinking 3 to 5 years out. And it's not just about the money, but where will they be and what kind of opportunities will be available to them.
Do you find, I mean, you work with managers all the time that are obviously their employer hired you because either they see an opportunity or there's a challenge. Do you see managers having the struggle of like, well, I don't want to have that conversation with one of my employees because if I do, then they're going to quit. And then all of a sudden I got to find someone else to fill their role. They kind of look at it in their own myopic, selfish manner, as opposed to a broader, I'm really here to serve the employee. And I hope they stay with me, but if they don't, I want them to be successful with wherever they go.
Sure. So I have found quite the opposite, actually. I think first, they're eager to learn how to have those conversations because much in the same way that we promote technical people because they're really good at their technical skill, and then they've never learned how to be a manager. Managers have never learned how to be coaches. They don't, they unlikely received career development coaching from their supervisors. So it's a whole new world. So I find they avoid those conversations more because they're just not sure how to have them. But once they have the toolkit, it's really, again, about helping the team member understand their value set and the strengths they bring to the table, and then aligning that with what's going on in the organization. So you're not helping them align it for the outside world, although that is, an eventual side effect. It's really increasing their stick-to-itiveness to be within the organization because they can more closely see that they can be their authentic self and bring their authentic talent and still be within this organization and bring value.
So speaking of like great, amazingly awesome, the book is called HR Like a Boss. The podcast is HR Like a Boss. And I get all of my guests out of here on one last question. Kris, how do you describe someone that does HR Like a Boss?
Again, it's not a secret that I'm all about authenticity and audacity. And from an HR perspective, I think that's really coming forward and having a commitment to the organization and the employees and seeking to find that alignment between the organization's priorities and the employees' priorities and kind of bringing those in together into alignment whenever possible. So I think you HR like a boss when you are striving to, again, authenticity throughout the organization in a way that feels very aligned to what that person came to do and feels like they can do in the future.
I really enjoyed having you on the show, Kris. You're a dear friend. I wish you nothing but the best with your book launch. Sounds like that marketing of that's going to be fun. At the same time, a fair amount of work. And I can't wait to go to that Barnes and Nobles and support you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for checking out the HR Like a Boss podcast. If it resonates with you, please consider leaving a rating and review. And better yet, subscribe and share with a friend. Until next time, let's continue to aspire to do amazingly awesome HR.